Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. So, when you're dealing with sociopaths, figuring out what they really want is nearly impossible. Why? Because they keep changing what they want. I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and tonight I'm going to explain 3 reasons why sociopaths keep moving the goalposts. This is a live streaming show, and I'll answer your questions at the end of this short presentation. Please send them to me as we go along. You can also use our new super chat function to ask your question, and I see CC made a donation. Thank you so much. And to be notified about future shows, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Okay, when my sociopathic ex-husband, James Montgomery, moved into my house, I agreed to convert my basement, which I used as a small gym, into an office for him. So I put away my gym equipment, I hired builders to install a new bathroom, enclose the walls, and run more electrical outlets for his array of computers, televisions, and other business equipment. Making these improvements cost me $6,000. He promised to pay me back, but of course he never did. I also bought him a nice 3-piece desk, which had about 1,000 parts, with drawers, doors, nuts and bolts. I spent an entire day putting it together for him. So when Montgomery first moved into the office, he was delighted. Then, when we had an argument, he started complaining about being forced to work out of a dark, dank cellar. And then, when he was trying to butter me up before asking me for some other outrageous request, he was so pleased that I made such a nice office for him. Later, as our marriage was falling apart, he again bitterly complained about his deplorable working conditions. Did Montgomery like the office or not? I have no idea. The whole episode illustrates how sociopaths will say anything, even directly contradicting themselves, depending on their agenda at the moment. Many Lovefraud readers have written to me about this really insidious manifestation of changing sociopathic demands, the phenomenon of continuously moving the goalposts. Here's how this works. The sociopath will tell you that they want something, which we'll call A. You give them A, except now they want B. You give them B, but now they want C. This can continue for D, E, and F. In fact, it can continue through the entire alphabet, and then through the entire Greek alphabet. And each time the sociopath insists that their latest demand is the one that will really make them happy. One Lovefraud reader, who herself was target of a sociopath, used a different metaphor for this. The behavior, she described it as moving the line in the sand. This Lovefraud reader noted that for the sociopath, the strategy serves many purposes. And so think about it. It damages you, but it also grooms, tests, and weakens you. Plus, your commitment to the sociopath gets deeper and deeper as you try to recoup the losses from what you've already done. Because moving the line in the sand, or the finish line, as Daniel said, or the goalposts is used to test you, she thinks it's an important red flag to look out for. So, as the sociopath keeps up this behavior, you find yourself tolerating more and more and doing more and more. The sociopath, however, does less and less. He or she needs, wants, expects, and demands more and more. So, why do they do this? Here are 3 reasons. First, the sociopath wants to maintain control over you. So, what happens to you as they keep changing the rules? You are totally off balance. you can't figure out how to treat them or how to be around them because you keep getting mixed signals. Sociopaths then make matters worse by demeaning you for not doing what they want. You try to explain that you did what they want before, but now they want something different. And the sociopaths vociferously deny that they ever told you anything different and insist that they always wanted what they most recently demanded and you misunderstood them. Sociopaths are so convincing that you begin to wonder if you did indeed misunderstand them and if you're losing your mind. In short, moving the goalpost is a form of gaslighting. It messes with your sense of reality. So here's reason number 2. Sociopaths get bored easily. They're always in the search of some type of stimulation, and as soon as they tire of one form of entertainment, they want another. So when sociopaths keep making new demands of you, what they're doing is expressing their most recent whim, until, of course, they have another whim. So finally, here's reason number 3. Sociopaths have no internal core. I think the main reason sociopaths keep changing what they want is that they are not fully formed human beings. They're empty shells. They have no core personality, no inner fiber, no guiding purpose. Their desires are not based on stable objectives, but on passing fancies. Yes, passing fancies. They make demands according to whatever they feel like doing in the moment. So a key question is, do sociopaths keep moving the goalposts intentionally? Well, given that some sociopaths actively try to crush their targets, I certainly think it's a possibility. So here we are. Sociopaths want to maintain control over you, they get bored easily, and they have no internal core. For these reasons, they will keep changing their demands of you. So if you notice early on that someone you're involved with keeps changing what they want and moving the goalposts or the finish line or the line in the sand, consider it to be a big red flag flying in your face. Okay, so that's the presentation for tonight. If you liked it, please hit the like button. It helps other people find this channel. And next I'll be answering your questions. As I mentioned before, we implemented Super Chat on this Lovefraud show so that it offers you the opportunity to support our work. And I really appreciate the donations that we received so far, especially from Cece. And if you'd like to support us, all you do is click the $ in the chat window and then slide the button to the amount that you want. And here's a tip. You may have noticed in previous shows that as I'm scrolling through the chat, I miss questions. If you use the Super Chat, it helps me to see them. And there's also a link in the description below the video window where you can make a tax-deductible contribution to Lovefraud's education programs. So, looks like the chat has been active. I'll take a look and see if we have some questions. So Demi says, good evening. I'm struggling to try to disconnect from a sociopath. Well, you're in the right place. That's what we talk about in this channel. If you have a specific question, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I suggest that you look at lots of videos. I think I got about 50 of them or something like that. And you might get some really good information about how to make the break. So Maroka says, my ex was never satisfied, always being so grateful and then telling me he never liked it. That is such a typical thing. Yeah, that's another reason why it's so hard to figure out what it is that they actually want or they actually like, because they'll do that. They'll tell you something is wonderful and then deny that they ever said it. And now it's not what they want at all. So it's very hard to figure that out. because you're unstable. I mean, nothing's consistent. And that's one of the things that makes you so crazy when you're trying to deal with a sociopath. Oh, we got another chat, super chat. Thank you so much. So Sammy says, hi, Sammy. These people are constantly changing around anything that they need in order to always keep you guessing, on your toes, gaslight you, control you, and weaken you bit by bit. Yep, you got it. That's exactly what they're doing. And the thing to keep in mind is that this is intentional. Okay, this isn't that they're just flaky or can't make up their mind. They know exactly what they are doing, and it's an indication of how evil they are. I mean, this is a game to them. They're doing it because they like being the puppet master. They like pulling the strings and watching you jump. And, it means that any involvement is not authentic. It's them trying to exploit you, and no good can come out of it for you. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. All right, so Eden Hazard 10 says, what should you do when you've encountered a sociopath and had been through the madness? What are some of the things? Well, the first thing is to get out. And that can be difficult depending on the nature of the relationship, the nature of the involvement. If you're just dating this person and don't have any real connections, you end it. And I have videos about how to end it. I mean, the idea is that you go no contact. You end it, and then you have no further contact with this individual. It gets more complicated if you've married the person, you have kids with the person, if you work with the person, if it's a family member. So it all kind of depends on the actual circumstances. But the idea is to get the person out of your life as much as you possibly can. I mean, if you can do it completely, that's fabulous. If you can't do it completely for one reason or another, you have to find the way to disengage emotionally so that they can no longer get under your skin. And you have to recognize that they are what they are. It's never going to get better. They're never going to change. And so if you have to continue to deal with this person, you have to figure out a way to do it where it doesn't continue to upset you. So, but we do have lots and lots of material, Eden Hazard 10, to take a look and see. Mary, New Jersey says, I remember towards the end of my marriage, my ex stating I'm not happy. This guy had everything, money, prestige, family, and a loyal wife, and it still wasn't enough. Yeah, they get bored. I mean, this is actually one of the criteria, especially of psychopathy. If you look at the diagnostic criteria of psychopaths, boredom is one of them. I mean, they literally have this need for stimulation and just get bored. And so the time comes where whatever they had just isn't doing them for them anymore. And it's kind of shocking, actually, because they have the capacity to just walk away from family, jobs, kids, anything. And other people who have invested so much are in shock that they just walk away and don't look back. But that's what they are. And so it's important to accept that that's what they are. Lou says, Lou12340, did you ever know such evil existed until you experienced a narcissist? I did not. And I can tell you that I talk to a lot of people. Lovefraud's been active since 2005, so it's been 15 years, 16 years almost. And that's the comment that I hear the most. that people say, I never knew people like this existed. And it's true. We don't know. Our society doesn't tell us about this. I mean, there's millions of these people. Approximately 12 to 15% of the population have a serious personality disorder, be it antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, or psychopathic. And these disorders, essentially, the people take advantage of others and they create havoc for others. But nobody tells us about this. There are literally millions of these people living among us, and we never hear about it. So consequently, when we run into someone, we don't recognize the behavior. We don't know how to interpret what they're doing, and that's how we end up tangled in these situations. And then we're shocked because we never heard of this before. So that's actually the key mission of Lovefraud, is to educate people just about the fact that sociopaths exist. I mean, once you know they exist, it all starts falling into place and you learn to recognize them. And that's how you protect yourself, knowing that they exist, knowing what the warning signs are, and then knowing to trust your instincts when you start getting the heebie-jeebies about somebody. Okay. So CC is me says, having my 3 kids who are now grown and going no contact was the best thing I ever did. Well, I'm so glad that you have been able to go no contact from the sociopath. And yeah, it changes your life when that person is finally not making you crazy anymore. So good for you. I'm very glad that you're able to do that. Okay, so Demi says, I'm struggling with trying to disconnect from a sociopath. How do I do that? As I said earlier, the key is no contact. And that can be hard because one of the things about these relationships, and I'm making an assumption here that you're romantically involved with this person, one of the things is that the relationships are highly addictive. I mean, that's just a fact of the involvement. So for that reason, you need to treat the relationship or breaking the relationship the same way as breaking off an addiction, as if a smoking addiction or a substance addiction or anything like that. Which, if you've ever done that before, you know can be really hard. And typically what they suggest in 12-step programs, I mean, the main thing is to take it one day at a time. Often when it's too big to think about ending this involvement forever. So what you do is you decide that you're going to go no contact. You tell the person one time, if you're still talking, and you can do it by text, that's fine. Just tell them it's over. And then from that moment on, you have no contact. You do not respond. You do not reach out. You do not go see them. You do not go to the social media page. Nothing. But it's hard to maintain that. So you have to look at it as one day at a time. Or if that's too hard, 1 hour at a time. Okay, I'm not going to contact this person for the next hour. And then when that's done, okay, I'm not going to do it for the next hour. And you just keep building and building. And the longer you're away from this person, the more the fog starts to lift from your brain and you start to see the truth of what this person has been putting you through. So it's a process. Sometimes you need help. If you can get a therapist, if you can find there are now finally some support groups, online support groups like this one and others. But you do what you got to do because it can be difficult and it's never going to be good for you. These people are never, ever going to be good for you. And as I mentioned before, we've got lots of other videos. Take a look through the playlists, and I think you'll find other things that could help you. Okay. All right, so Maroka asks, why when you cut them out altogether, they keep trying to get you back? They were never happy with anything you do or all your hard work. Well, mostly there's two big reasons, maybe three. First of all, they want to maintain control. I mean, I know lots and lots of people who were married to a sociopath, and it was bad. They got divorced, but the sociopath still doesn't want to let them go. And the reason for that is because they want to maintain control. They view you as a possession, as something that they own, and they simply do not want to give up what they own. So that's one reason. Another reason is that a lot of sociopaths maintain contact with prior involvements simply because they might need you again. They've moved on to some new partner, and perhaps that partner will throw them out, and now they need some place to be or to live or to stay or whatever. And so, they keep the previous ones active, just as a fallback position. And another reason sometimes they come back is because, especially if you were the one who dumped them, sometimes they will draw you back into the involvement and get you totally hooked again, just so that they could have the satisfaction of dumping you. So there are multiple reasons, but for you have to make up your mind that you are done with this person. And if they try reaching out, no contact. You do not respond. You block them, and you have to maintain it like forever, because sometimes sociopaths seem to have this sixth sense of knowing when you're feeling better and when you might be open to them again, and then they'll call out of the blue, and you're feeling strong, you're feeling confident, and you said, yeah, we could still be friends. No, you don't do this. I have heard this on many occasions, people who thought that they were strong enough to handle it, and then they ended up back at square one. So, once you make that break, you block all entries. You do not let this person get back with you in any way. And that's what you need to do, like forever. Okay. Sammy points out that it's a game for them. And yes, that's absolutely true. In many cases, it's just a game. I mentioned earlier, they love being the puppet master. They love pulling the strings and just seeing other people jump, seeing how high they can jump, seeing what they can get you to do. There is no authenticity in this person. They are not capable of love. Okay? I mean, this is the root of the disorder of antisocial, narcissistic, psychopathic personality disorders. They literally do not have the ability to love. So how can you be in love with someone who has no ability to love? It's always going to be you doing all the giving and they're doing all the taking. And that's a hard lesson, but it's one that you really need to learn, that they are not going to change. Once somebody with one of these personality disorders is an adult, they are not going to change. And you just have to decide that you're going to do what's best for you. So Mary, New Jersey, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. And let's see, sick and twisted evil game. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Okay, everybody. That seems to be the end of the questions for tonight. I do have Love Peace saying here that narcs only hate, they don't love. Oh, wait, we do have a question. So, Maroka says, what to do when your mother is on the side of the sociopath? Tell me I am wrong for cutting him off and removing him from the kid's life. My mom listens to him cry. He gives her money too. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, you're not the only person who has experienced this. I have heard from quite a few people who were involved with a sociopath, and they managed to turn your family members against you and get on the side. you got to do what you got to do. And, sometimes if you have to limit your contact with your mother, I mean, that might be something that you need to do. I have heard of people who have had to cut their own families out, because their own family members had been brainwashed by the sociopath. So you need to put yourself first and your kids first, and do what you got to do. And if that means that you pull back from your mother, a hard thing, but hopefully your mother will eventually come around. And I mean, as you do that, recognize that your mother is probably, well, is certainly being manipulated. And hopefully what will happen is that if you continue to stay away from the guy, eventually he'll get bored and stop manipulating your mother, and then maybe you'll have the chance to patch things up with your mother. But, for the time being, you got to do what you got to do. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate all the super chats. It really helps us to continue the mission. And we'll be here next week with the next episode of Lovefraud Live. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.